Today I'm going to give you some really fun portrait cake ideas and show you how I made some portrait cakes from scratch for my own family and friends to help inspire you to do the same. Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Amanda Vandergulik from cleverdoughcakes.com, and today I want to share with you a couple of the portrait cakes that I've made over the years for my families and friends. So let's take a look. So the first one here is a portrait cake that I made for my dad's 50th birthday. It was such a hit that I actually ended up making one for my mom as well, which I'll show you in just a minute. So this cake is just a vanilla sponge cake. You can see the recipe that I used in this video here. And I also used mocha buttercream icing to decorate this cake. And I'll share that video right there with you with my mocha buttercream icing recipe. So my dad is an avid hunter. So what I did is I created a cake and I just used, actually I had a special pan that was like an image of a person pan, just a generic, but you could use a rectangle pan and then just cut out the outline of the silhouette for your portrait cake. And so what I did is I actually just covered the whole cake with just a plain vanilla, or with the buttercream icing, just a very generic neutral color. And then I outlined all the different areas of the cake that I wanted to decorate. So his hat, his face, his camouflage outfit, his bow and arrows sack, and so on. And this was really fun to make. Now the black icing was tremendously difficult to make really black. So I actually did buy black icing for that purpose, but I really don't recommend, if it's possible, don't use pure black icing because it stains your eaters' mouths and teeth for a long time. So you don't want to do that. But to get a really dark black, you do probably have to buy it yourself, and instead of making the buttercream yourself. So if you can avoid it and make just a really nice deep brown instead, that will work a lot better for you. Just a side tip. So now there's a trick that I did. My mom taught me this when she was making cakes when I was a little child. You take a spoon, the back of the spoon, the rounded bit, and you run it under hot water. Then you dry it off so there's no water on the spoon. It gets really hot and you can smooth out the icing on your cakes. It works really well. So I use that technique to actually decorate this portrait cake for my father. So I first used just a star tip on a piping bag to make the outline of his camouflage suit and also to fill in his cap there. But the smooth pieces, after I put on the icing, I smoothed it out with the back of a spoon, or you can also use a knife. Same thing, heat up the knife with hot water, wipe it off dry, and then smooth that as well, or an offset spatula. They all work. And then what I did is I matched up the skin tone to match his skin tone, put that on, smoothed it out. I used a piping tip, just a round piping tip, to do the hair and the beard. And this was just so much fun. I outlined all the different areas to really make the colors pop. My dad absolutely loved this, and he loved it so much that, like I say, I actually made one for my mom for her birthday too, half a year later. And this is what that one looks like. My mom is such a cute woman, and she looks so cute, really cute in her little dancing outfit. So I decided to recreate that for her. And again, she has hair like mine, wild, long, thick hair. So I piped on the hair to represent that. And things like, you can see how with my dad's cake and with my mom's cake here, how the cheeks are like on top and the nose is on top, the eyes are on top. So I just layered balls of icing that I would then just smooth out. It was actually fairly simple to make, and I did this years ago, so I don't have any footage of the making of it. So if you want me to make a cake like this and show you how to do it, leave me a comment below and let me know, and I'll consider maybe making one, especially for these kind of portrait cakes, just for you. And I'll even mention your name. So leave me a comment below and I'll let you do, and I'll do that for a future video. And then I'll let you know when that comes out. I want to show you a couple of other portrait cake ideas that you could do from home. Now I use fondant icing a lot of the time because I find it really fun to sculpt. Maybe it's because I loved playing with Play-Doh when I was a kid. I don't know. But I love working with fondant. However, fondant doesn't taste very good. It's like sickly sweet. and it's crazy expensive. So I've actually created a marshmallow fondant recipe. You can download it for free. Actually up here, cleverdoughcakes.com, head on over there and you can download my marshmallow fondant recipe for free for you. And it works just like the store-bought fondant, only it tastes really good and it's super cheap to make. I actually created it when I was living in Holland where I couldn't get fondant. I couldn't get store-bought fondant, so I wanted to create my own, and I researched and I found how to make marshmallow fondant. Then when I moved to New Zealand, we didn't even have marshmallows, so I had to first learn how to make marshmallows so I could make the marshmallow fondant, because the store-bought fondant there was crazy expensive because everything has to be imported. Anyway, so if you would like to know how to make your own homemade marshmallows, then leave me a comment below as well, and maybe I'll do that as a future video for you and mention your name. All right, so let me show you. First of all, let's end with the end of the cake for you so you can see what it looks like here. All right, so here's the cake. This was a portrait cake that I made for my best friend back in New Zealand, Jody, and I gave her her beautiful red hair and her beautiful body, made her feel special. She really enjoyed this cake. I decorated it really simply with just some mocha buttercream icing on top, a couple of clementines and some dark chocolate, which work really well with mocha icing. And then I sculpted her body with the marshmallow fondant, and you can see here in these pictures, all I did is I took a circle and then I indented for the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and I used like a toothpick to make the lines a little bit easier to see. And you can see me creating the body here. And then for icing the cake, look, it's this simple. I just literally smothered it on with a spatula. And then I just had fun decorating it with the chocolate. I colored a little bit of icing blue just for a little bit of a contrast, and also because I wanted to use the blue for her dress on her cake. So she really enjoyed that one. Now, working with fondant to create portrait cakes, it's so much fun. So I want to show you a couple of more. These are ones, now we used to have, I don't know if you've ever seen claymations. It's like an animated cartoon, but it's made with clay instead of animations. And I remember watching them as a kid and being so inspired that I would actually take Play-Doh with my sister and we would make our own claymations, and we would have faces and, you know, really have fun pulling out the ears and pushing in the eyes, pulling out the nose, creating the lips. And I had so much fun with it that I decided I wanted to do that for making cakes too. And that's exactly what I did. So you can see here is the base of the face for this particular cake. This was a portrait cake I made for my daughter's friend Briar, sorry. And so yeah, you can see how I squished. You can almost see the fingerprints of how I squished out the ears and the eyebrows and the eyes, and I created like little slits for where the eyes and the mouth went, and then I rolled up white fondant and shoved them in and then rounded them off. And then I took food color and just colored it in. It was so much fun. Painting portrait cakes is so much fun. So I highly recommend, just go for it, have fun, take a picture of the person that you want to make the portrait cake for, and just see how much you can match up. Start with the skin tone, the eye color, the hair color. I used mocha buttercream icing for the hair. I just piped it all out. She had beautiful wild hair and it just turned out so pretty. Another really cool cake. Let's see here. So I did this for my best friend Jody, for her sister Melissa. We both have sisters named Melissa. And I did the same thing here. This is an earlier cake, so it's not quite as refined as my Briar one was. And this cake I actually covered with the marshmallow fondant as well. It was very humid, and you can see how it has some bubbles and dents on the cake, and that's because of the humidity and because it didn't smooth the cake completely. But sometimes rustic is okay. So yeah, she really loved this cake. And I want to show you this one because you can also do a three-dimensional or a 3D portrait cake where you have the characters who you're creating sitting on top. So this is a cake I made for my sister and her family, with my brother-in-law there, my sister, and her two girls. And these are really fun. So what I did is I actually first started with these balls, and then you can see how the center of the body is kind of more squished so that it's more square. And then you set the round ball on top for a head. And then this bottom ball here, you turn that into pants by lengthening it out and then splitting it down the center and then just kind of rolling it smooth so that you've got some nice legs there. And then for the girls, they love wearing dresses. So I created these skirts here. You can see that I kind of pinched a little bit of a frill on the bottom, and then you put the arms on, and there they are, all sitting neatly with their hands on their laps. It's so much fun to play with the different hairstyles. And in this case, I used little toothpicks to poke the little eyes in, and I made little balls to push on for the nose, and also little strips like ropes to put on for the mouths. And then I had fun painting them all. And then once the cake was ready, I just sat them on top of the cake. Now, a tip here is your humidity, how warm it is, will affect your marshmallow fondant, because the sugar in the marshmallow is a humectant. It attracts moisture to it. So it will over time fall. So you want to make sure you structure it by putting dowels or toothpicks in to hold the fondant pieces in place. Because you can see how my cake started off really well. You can see that here, nice and tall, but at the end, yeah, they were leaning back a little bit, and they were getting kind of glossy because the sugar was pulling the moisture out of the air. So as pretty as it looked, it wasn't actually intended this way. I hope you found a lot of inspiration in these portrait cakes, and I can't wait to see some of yours. If you make a portrait cake, or when you make a portrait cake, make sure to post it on social media and hashtag Amanda Vander Gulick or Clever Dough Cakes so that I can see them, or just send me some images. I would love to showcase your portrait cakes in any future videos as well. And don't forget, you can check out the homemade how to make a cake, how to make a vanilla sponge cake recipe up here, and my mocha buttercream icing here, and download your free marshmallow fondant recipe on my website at cleverdoughcakes.com. Thank you so much. I'll see you over here.